Shabbat Shalom. We just learned why we have this special Shabbat from the very first words of our special maftir, Zachor et asher salacha Amalek. That we're told to remember exactly what the Amalekites did in Torah. And we learned that they snuck up on the Israelites. Snuck up from those who were stragglers in the back, the older members of the community, mothers carrying babies, and intentionally attacked the most vulnerable. Why are we told Zachor et asher salacha Amalek? Why are we told specifically to remember? Because in every generation there is Amalek. I have a memory as a rabbinical school student in the Upper West Side, the Jewish Theological Seminary, where I studied, for those of you who don't know, is just blocks from Columbia University. And one day, while I was a student there, then President of Iran, Ahmadinejad, was invited to speak at Columbia University. And so every student walked out of seminary that day with groggers in hand. And as he spoke on Columbia's campus, we started shaking those groggers and booing him so that none of his falsehoods could be heard. Again, the idea that in every generation there are those who are tyrants, who seek to prey on the most vulnerable, but really who seek to prey on those who have no interest in war, and really those who just want to be. And so we find ourselves 2 weeks into this Russian attack and invasion on the Ukraine, where, not so different than our Megillah, a young man refused to bow down to a demagogue, to a megalomaniac, refused to give in to his demands because he said, I want to be my authentic self. A young Jewish leader, in this case, the president of Ukraine, stood up and refused to be pushed around. And as such, what was Haman's plan? Thank you. Not just to destroy all of the Mordechais, right? Not just those who refuse to give in, but to attack everybody. This lottery on Purim night there, he would destroy all the Jews of Shushan and kill them. And we see an attack on hospitals and maternity wards, on senior centers, guns being fired at civilians and citizens as they try to flee safety and security with their hands up. We see Amalek rearing its head again. And so as we learn in this balance of remembering and wiping out their memory, it's our task to wipe out such aggression, such hateful bigotry from our midst. The commentator Barbanel, when we look back at the first case, we're reminded of when Amalek first attacked the Israelites in the book of Exodus. Barbanel says, what did Amalek do? They attacked a people that had no interest in going to war with them. That they had no interest in a military battle. They attacked the innocent. That's what made them so terrible. That's what made them so vicious. And that's what made them so evil. Our friends at the Ukrainian Orthodox Church of Holy Ascension down the road, which we helped donate goods to them, sent their first load, as they shared this last Shabbat, of donated goods to those in need, and are now directing most of those goods to refugees in Romania and Poland. With now over 2 million Ukrainian refugees, hundreds of thousands more displaced within Ukraine. In 2 Shabbatot from now, Dov Ben Shimon, the CEO and director of Jewish Federations of Greater Metro West, will join us for Shabbat services as he leaves tomorrow for Poland. See the work of the JDC and Jewish Agency and the funds, the emergency funds of Federation at work saving refugees who are crossing the border. And he'll come join us to speak about that experience, speak about this moment in history as Amalek is rearing its head again, speak about our actions. It's funny, every time we shake our groggers and we scream boo when we hear Haman's name. Thank you. We're trying to erase Amalek from our midst. And yet, in some ways, we're at fault. Because we're saying, as long as we don't hear such bigotry, as long as we ignore such fascism and hatred and demagoguery, then it doesn't exist. That it doesn't affect us. The truth is, it's impossible to not read of this attack 2 weeks later, read of the Russian invasion of the Ukraine. It's impossible to not see news updates, to hear the latest heartbreaking story. We could shake our groggers all we want, but we can't ignore when Amalek rears its head, even if it's in another part, and especially when it's in another part of the world. That's all the more so when we need to stand up and be the Esthers and the Mordechais among us, to not be afraid to speak up, to save ourselves, and do our part to save others as well.